So I decided to look into the beam of light to find out where it was coming from. So it was coming from the right hand, the right side of me, going up in the corner of the ceiling. So I looked into the light, and it seemed to be going out into space. And I thought, oh, that's really cool. I'd like to see what's out there. So as soon as I made that intention, I was out of my body. So I was out of my body, and I was a speck of consciousness over my left shoulder, looking at myself, at my body on the couch. And then out of the top of my head sort of came my spiritual body. So it was a body, mind, and spirit kind of experience or realization. My mind then joined the spirit and went up through the tunnel. I went faster than the speed of light, away from the planet. I went through the magnetic grid of the planet, and I could actually see the magnetic grid, and I went through it. When I got to the other side, I realized it was the mental realm of the planet, and at that point, it was a sea of knowledge. And my realization was that I could make a connection with, anyone at that realm. And so I exchanged information with Mozart and Beethoven and musical symbols, mathematical symbols, and just totally absorbed huge amounts of knowledge. And I was really thrilled, and I write in my book, I said I was like a kid in a candy shop. I was just so thrilled. I said, I am a genius, I knew it. Anyway, I don't know. But I was just really excited. And then I just really didn't stop there. If a molecule or a point of consciousness can turn, I turned, and I continued on out into space. I went through a black hole or a wormhole, I'm not sure how you term it, but it was a black hole, and it was like a Starship Enterprise type of experience where I saw, warp speed, and I saw stars, billions and billions and billions of stars just going by me. When I finally got to what I now know is the Andromeda Galaxy, I heard the voice, and the voice just said, stop. So I stopped, and I just viewed the entire galaxy in front of me. The voice said, turn to your left, and now I will show you everything from Alpha to Omega, from beginning to end. So I turned to my left, and a screen popped up in space, and I saw one DNA molecule start to twirl, and then it twirled, it turned into a blade of grass, and then the grass covered the planet, and the fish came from the oceans to the land. And the trees, the rains came down, and the trees grew, and man walked upright, and it was just a whole, like a VCR type of vision. And then all of everything that ever was and ever will be, as far as the history of the planet and the Akashic records of the planet, was transmitted to me. And it just downloaded. At the end of the experience, two planets came together and imploded, and then exploded, and then it was basically the circle of life and the Big Bang, and then everything came together, and it started happening, going around and around into infinity. So it was coming together, going apart to individuate, and then coming together in unity and going apart to individuate. The action of creation, and the action of creation. Then the light said, do you have any other questions? And I said, yes, I want to know, how was life created, and what is the cure for all diseases? And so one circle it showed up in front, and then I saw basically mitosis, or cellular division in 3D, and it was the cells were dividing very rapidly in the flower of life sacred geometry pattern, and it just kept coming closer and closer, and it was eggs dividing, flowers blooming, and then boom, it hit me in the third eye. And I said, oh, life is so simple, and they try to make it so complex back on Earth, those scientists. And it was the same message that I was originally given in the experience. So then I sort of went from the Andromeda Galaxy back to my couch, like boom, boom, really fast. However, I was gone for 4 hours. I was gone from 4 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock in the morning. When I came back, I had a couple of more visions on the couch. I was shown me in a bamboo pit in the bottom of, in a bamboo pit in Vietnam, and then I was shown me in jail as a male meditating, and I was told, just remember, no matter where you are, you will always be free now that you have entered the kingdom of God. And I said, how long did that take? And I don't know why I feel like crying, but so it was between 4 hours, 4 seconds in the twinkling of an eye. And so I don't really talk like that, so I thought it was pretty interesting. So anyway, I was on the couch, and then my daughter, who was 5 years old, jumped down the stairs, and I got her ready for school and sent her off to school. And basically, I'll tell you the truth, I genuflected to the coroner for the next 3 days, okay? After the experience, I didn't have to speak, I didn't have to eat, I didn't have to sleep, and I could touch books and read them. I read 4,000 books in 3 months after my light experience. I didn't even have to drink water, really, but I don't remember drinking water. But it wasn't that. It was that my spiritual body was about 12 feet above my head. So I was literally walking in Christ consciousness. And the only word I really would say was interesting. Interesting. Because if you say anything more than interesting, then you're making a decision. Left or right, I have no idea why I'm crying. I've told this experience 200 times. So left or right, black or white, it's the bipolarness of it. But, you know, to be in the middle, you would just say interesting, and you would also show that you are listening, which is an aspect of unconditional love, is active listening without making any kinds of judgments or condemnation. I'm really sorry, I've never done this before. What? You guys are giving me love, yeah, it's right. Well, I'm re-feeling the experience, but I didn't cry. After the experience, I was just totally there. So what I would say as an after effect was, after 3 months, I decided to eat. Actually, my family, my husband and my daughter, didn't know that I had this experience. You know, I just made dinner and I fed it to them and was sort of, you know, like normal, kind of. But they didn't really understand what the experience was. Anyway, one day I wanted to appear normal. So I decided I would eat a piece of lettuce. And I had an iceberg lettuce piece, and it was terrible. I could taste all of the chemicals on the lettuce and everything. I called up my meditation teacher, and I said, what is this stuff on this lettuce? And she said, it's chemicals. She says, you're going to have to go to the health food store and get organic vegetables. And I said, oh, okay. But I didn't even know. I have to tell you that my mind was totally erased. So one of the previous talks was very interesting to me because my mind, from everything from that point backwards, it was just totally erased. Okay, so it's a point of enlightenment where you transcend your karma. So you just don't have any of that karma left. And then you're like a baby at the age of, I was 32, so 32. So anyway, I went down to the health food store to buy organic vegetables, and they needed somebody to work there. So I decided to volunteer as a person, and I said, I'll just work here part-time for a couple of months, and then I'll go back and get one of my big jobs in scientific sales. Anyway, that was impossible. So I walked into the health food store, and I also had an energy which would be called absorption, and I could absorb all of the information from all of the 72,000 supplements they had in the health food store. And then again, I could, at that point, I could touch books and read them. So I read the entire alternative medicine section of the store. And when I walked in, I was told that you've learned regular medicine, now you're going to learn alternative medicine, and there's an herbal remedy for every pharmaceutical drug that there is. Okay? You like that, right? Yeah, that's true. And I've been wanting to say that for so long. And so, again, so as I started to work at the health food store, when people would walk in, I could see their whole aura, and they would say something like, I have eczema on my left hand here, and I would say, take 2 of these, 3 of these, 4 of these, and you'll be fine in 2 days. And everybody was. They would go away, they would come back, they would run back, they would bring me specimens, from the laboratory, from the bathroom. Oh, look, I passed this kidney stone. Oh, wow, look, I had this worm I want to show you. So anyway, but it was just really, really cool. I had a lot of funny experiences. I had one lady that she walked in, and she said she had a rash on her hand, and I said, and I couldn't even stop the channel, okay, because the way you channel energy is from above and it comes through your mouth, right? So I said to her, it's your liver. But it came through really strong. I was trying to stop it in my throat and I couldn't. And it's your liver. And she screamed and she ran down the aisle from me. And then I ran around the other end and I said, I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't mean to scare you, but I think it's your liver. And she said, I know. I just came back from the doctor and my mother had liver cancer and my sister had liver cancer and now you say it's my liver. And I said, it's okay, you can calm down, we'll get you what you need and we'll get you taken care of. So I just gave her some Essiac and I gave her some herbs to clean her liver and she was fine too. So simultaneously as I was doing these channelings, and I ended up working in the health food store for 15 years, and I worked with about 15,000 people. The whole town knew me, and I would have to wear sunglasses around because I wanted to be anonymous. It was really amazing. Simultaneously, I started to, the people, my family members that had passed away, they started coming to me from the other side. So I didn't know what to do with the mediumship aspect of it. So my little cousin that had passed away came to me and told me to tell his mother not to throw away the racing car blanket. And my uncle came from the other side and said to give balloons to my aunt that, and he had just passed away. And so I didn't know what to do with all these messages. So at the time, James Van Praagh was becoming very popular and everything. So I signed myself up to do the series of these body, mind, and spirit kind of expos. So I ended up doing about 40 body, mind, and spirit expos. I did all around the country. I did a tour. I did the New Life Expo in New York, the LA Conscious Life Expo, the one in San Francisco, all around the country. I did Atlanta. I did Chicago. I did them all over the place, in Canada and every place. And I was becoming very, very popular, but they wouldn't let me speak at a higher level at these shows because I didn't have a book. So I went home back to New Jersey, and at that point I had so many clients because I would do 150 contact with the deceased readings. I did purely contact with the deceased at the shows per weekend, and I did many, many shows. And so I learned exactly how to do this. It was like weightlifting, mediumship weightlifting. So I had fan letters. People were sending me things from all over the world. I was very popular. And so I just went home and I started just doing telephone readings. And so I did the contact with the deceased over the phone. And at the same time, I was still working at the health food store. So I decided to, and then at that point, my divorce came about because the difference, whenever you raise up in spirituality and so high, and your partner doesn't do that, it becomes a point where you just have to separate. So we got a divorce, and I moved down to Princeton, and I lived in Princeton there then for 15 more years. But I was still working at the health food store, so I went into the parking lot one day, and they said, "Today is your last day." And I'm like, okay, that's great. What am I supposed to do now? And the voice said to integrate all of my different skills together into my own healing modality. So I started to invite clients to come to my house down in Princeton, and it just, that's how the healing modality started. Again, when I worked in the health food store, I learned all different aspects of homeopathy, vitamin therapy, chelation therapy, magnet therapy, essential oils, flower essences, and I became very astute with the flower essences and learned, if we finally get to the second slide, okay? So I had a cosmic download of the Akashic records, of the planetary records, right? Okay. Okay, so then I learned how disease was formed. So how disease is really formed, and this is fundamental to know. Nobody really knows it, I guess, except for you guys that are healers. But disease is actually formed from the outside in. So either by an erroneous thought pattern that happens up in the mental field, or whenever it comes closer to the body. The emotional body is about 3 inches from the skin. So your emotional body is very close to you, very close. And so if you have an erroneous thought form, or if you have an emotional imbalance, it'll finally just go around like a corkscrew until you finally hit the physical body, and then disease is formed. So that's how it's formed. I was also downloaded, and I guess this is really important, with the entire body map of the body when I was in the light. So I know if you have a zit on the side of your face, or if you have a rash or if you've sprained the certain finger of your finger, if you hurt a certain finger, what emotion is behind that caused it. So usually, it's usually if you have an accident, for instance, if you sprain your ankle or you break your wrist or something, it's the emotion or the trauma that happened or the thought that happened right before you did it. So if you think back to whatever kind of ailment that you ever had, you go back to that core issue and you realize what was happening. For instance, one day I was on unemployment, and they cut off my unemployment check, and I was running to the ATM machine to find out whether I had any more money in my bank account. And I ran off the curb, and I turned my ankle, and I splatted right in the parking lot. Well, the right ankle is all about support from the male side, and so basically what was happening is I was traumatized because now I didn't have any support from the government. What? 5 minutes, okay. I started 15 or 20 minutes late. Anyway, okay, so I worked in the health food industry. I did 15,000 mediumship readings, and then I integrated that into my own healing modality. So I started working on people, and basically I did another 15,000 personal readings with people on every type of disease state. One of the first people that I worked on was Jonathan. He had severe asthma. He was on a nebulizer 24/7, and in 2 sessions, in two weeks, he was asthma-free. I weaned him off the nebulizer, off of the immunosuppressive drugs, and put him on MSM, and then I gave him something to boost his immune system, and he was healed in a very short time, in 2 weeks. An 18-year-old model came to me, and she had a 98% collapsed lung on the left side. She had an infection around the side as well, and she needed surgery the next week. So she was crying hysterically because she didn't want to have the surgery. She was afraid of the surgery. She said, "But my father's a lawyer. He'll call you." I'm like, "Oh, great, great." And so anyway, her father called me, and he was a sweetheart. And I said, look, Jack, we're going to do 2 sessions. We'll fit in as many sessions as we can, and then if it works, and she won't have to have the surgery. So that's exactly what happened. I blew the breath of life into her lungs, and as I was blowing it over the telephone, she said she felt a cool mint breeze go through her lungs, and so we did 2 sessions like that. And this was on a Wednesday and a Friday and a half an hour on Sunday. Monday, she walked 3 miles to the doctor's office, and her lung was totally healed, and the doctor almost fainted. His face turned all red, and he was actually mad. Okay. Oh, this is little Lexi from San Diego. Her mother called me. She's a professional dancer, and I think she was about 8 years old. She had a heartbeat of 32 and a blood oxygen of 86. She has something called Bowles-Parkinson syndrome. And the mother was frantic as Lexi's heartbeat was really plummeting, and she thought she was going to die. I was driving in the car, and I told her mother I was going to do the session in 2 hours, and then my guide said, no, you don't have 2 hours. So I pulled over to the side of the road, and I worked on Lexi for 15 minutes. And when I got home 3 hours later, I called her mother and I said, okay, I'm ready to go for the full session. She goes, I don't know what you did, but she's like jumping up and down on the couch, and she's totally fine. I later went on to do more sessions on her and totally healed the heart valve problem. And so there's Lexi, championship dancer that she is, and she's so cute and so beautiful and so talented. Okay. This is the rest of it. Okay, so that was Lee. So this is the model that I inflated her lungs. She went on to work. Her modeling agency called her after her lung was healed and said, we're sorry, Project Runway called you while you were sick. But they got tired of her being sick all the time and everything. And they said, so we just gave the job to somebody else. And I said, honey, you call them and you tell them you want that position. And I gave her energy to make her strong and to have courage. And she called them up, and the producers of Project Runway called her back. She ended up being the model, the star model. She won the show, and she was with Christian Siriano, and they won this show. She went on to be one of the top 100 models in the world. We started 15 minutes late. Okay. No, but we're going to just finish. Okay, so the last one I have here is Maria at age 35. I met her in the waiting room of a reading school. The other lady that was healed of breast cancer in the first slide in the show, she was a reading school teacher, and I was just going to have lunch with her, and a lady was sitting in the waiting room. And she's like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen. I have a grapefruit-sized tumor in my uterus. I need surgery in 2 weeks, and what am I going to do with the kids? And she was really frantic. And so she started talking about it, and my hand sometimes just turns on like a satellite dish. So it just turned on, and basically her son was done reading, and so she jumped up. I did the healing, and she didn't really know what I was doing or anything. And then she jumped up and went to get her son. And as she was walking to get her son, the voice came, and the voice said, she will be healed. She will not need surgery. And so I told my friend that. After the lady left, I told my friend, she's not going to need surgery. And 2 weeks later, my friend called me and said, you're not going to believe this, but, Maria didn't need surgery. It was completely gone, and the doctor almost fainted because it was such a big tumor that he couldn't believe that it would just disappeared. And I said, well, I believe it because I told you so. Anyway, so that's what happened with Maria. Okay, and then the last one is Kelsey, 5 years old, and her mother came to me came to my door in my apartment on an afternoon, and I opened the door, and her mother was sobbing, holding the child across her, through her arms, and really crying and saying, heal my daughter. So she had just taken the child out of Children's Hospital in Philadelphia, where She was given 2 weeks to live. She had something called a dermatomyositis, which nobody knows what it is really, including me. But it's basically a skin and a muscle disease where she was so weak that she was pale and she couldn't even stand up and walk. So she came in and I worked on her for 1 hour, and within an hour she was jumping around the apartment, drawing pictures with magic markers, and then I showed her how to heal, and we healed her mother because her mother was just, shaken and in shock after the whole thing. To make a long story short, it could be longer, but the point of it is that she did get invited to go to the Make-A-Wish Foundation because she was gifted a trip because she had been about ready to die, and so we all went on a trip to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and she ran to the front of every line, and she was totally fine. She is now graduated from high school, and she just went to college. Okay. So we went to Disney, and she took me too. It was fun. Okay, so on our way back from Disney, and I just said, this is crazy, It's almost done. And so she paid me, and we figured out that there needed to be some kind of a foundation or some way that the healer could be paid and the child could have free treatment at the same time, So that's where we came up with the idea for the Create a Miracle Foundation. And that's, by the way, Create a Miracle Foundation is where the vision statement this is the last slide, okay? The vision statement is to provide funding for a spiritual energy healer network and pioneering energy medicine transmission instrumentation research center. It would have to give people free supplements to boost up their immune system or something like that as a follow-up. Yes, because I save children ages 0 through 100. If the person is not receptive, I usually don't take them in as a client because my job, doubt is the biggest block to preventing a miracle from happening. If you're totally open and you totally believe, you don't have to believe how, when, where, you just are open to receiving, then you will most likely get a miracle. Basically what I do is I go back into the Akashic records of the person, and my guides tell me which year the traumas happened that need to be healed. And if I hit the nail on the head with the correct trauma and remove that, the whole miracle happens, and it's like a domino effect, and they just instantly get healed. I have one other one since he's out of the room. Okay, I have one other one which demonstrates this. So the lady in the front that was healed of the breast cancer, she had a daughter-in-law that had severe constrictive pulmonary bronchitis. Okay, and she was on the list for a lung transplant. Okay, and she had this since she was 8 years old, and she was now 20. So the grandmother, this girl was going to marry her son, so she wanted her to be healed. And so she gave me a gift certificate, which was nice. And so I called the girl to just find out when we were going to have the session. And I said, well, honey, let me explain what's going to happen. I said, well, what happened whenever you first got this? And she said, I was 8. And I said, okay, well, what happened? She said, well, we were all living in this big house, my family and my uncle's family and everything. And all of a sudden, he had a tragic car accident. My aunt came in and said, and at that moment, the tragedy or the trauma got stuck in the top of her lungs. And from then on, she had constrictive bronchitis. She couldn't breathe, and she couldn't get oxygen. So and she goes, oh, okay. She didn't know really. And she goes, okay, well, I'll save you. I'll call you the week after. And I'm like, okay, honey, whenever you want to have a session, it's fine. She called me, 2 weeks later, and she said more. And then the other doctor, the specialist, took me off the lung transplant list. So these are the types of miracles that happen, as long as you can identify what the trauma was and then reverse it and get it out of their Akashic records. Okay, I think I'm .com, where they could call me on the telephone at 267-392-9494. 9254. Could always also call me or write to me if you would like to donate to the Create a Miracle Foundation. So thank you very much. And the what? Okay, miraclesbydonna@gmail.com. MIRACLES. And you can contact an evaluation to the person. You can also look me up on Donna McGrath, Miracle Healer and Medical Medium on Facebook, or donnamcgrath.com is my website. It's MCGRATH. Okay? So when people call, I give them a free 15-minute evaluation, and I ask, using muscle kinesiology, how many sessions they would need to heal their session, or if I could do it, which in most cases I can, except for if it's a really, really chronic condition with multifaceted complications and things like that. But I do my best, and I usually get a 90% healing rate, so it's really good. And so thank you all for listening, and I'll talk to you later.
I didn't know you had so much information in there. I was like, I just thought, I was like, wow, there's a lot of stuff in there. Well, that I didn't know like that about you. It was really interesting. I don't think I heard that from you. I always thought. Man, the books that you see you touched there, Casey did that. Wow. Amazing. So you went down the school?
The girl, Caroline, sat there all day, and it's not fair to them when you agree to sit on that desk for 5 hours.
Oh yeah, no, she didn't come to get me.
I know, she don't have to beg you to come and help
I
me.
didn't beg you, she didn't help me. I was there.
That's what I was telling her. She doesn't know what to do.
Well, I was down there. I didn't see you the break room.
So we have to look for you, and you're not here, you don't have a phone. How the fuck she go? No, fuck 50 times we looked for you, you weren't here. No, where were you by then? With Anna, where did you guys go? No, you were goofing off some.
Alan, what the hell she done here? Okay, now we got your life. How is this? Log into my account. I need to check the stream on my machine.
Yeah, I mentioned it to him. What we thought about
Hello.
that other unit over. Have both systems going. Yeah, let's do it. Forget it.
Who's on the? Let me see who's on.
We put everybody's name all over. Who show up? Sarah didn't come to me. Here, sir. I want everybody to show up. Eric? No, Eric's married. Not to me. I'm glad to hear it. It's the best time in the world.
Testing.
I mean, if you come again, and I'm very tough tonight, on you guys especially, because we don't have time. They cut my time. We are 6:30, and we got to go dinner afterwards, 8 o'clock. Anybody paid for dinner? We go on dinner afterwards in the restaurant, and then what else we got to do? Hold on. So it is, actually, you're right. It is too many people. That's why you will talk less. We go from here. These guys are more professional in that field. Actually, this is a very good setup because these three guys are ahead of you guys in this field, so they will talk more. So they will talk twice as, I'm very sorry, I'm not being, I don't want to discriminate. I'm just saying we don't have too much time to go too much, especially lovely Margaret would go for stories for days, and she's the greatest writer in America. Have you seen her books? And we got Misha, the greatest star in Alientology and Alien Shift. Ufology, Misha Johnson, bravo! That was MMA. I know, that's good because you don't want this stuff on there. Only streamers are listening. Are you ready? Okay. Am I go? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to BioMed Expo Alien event. This panel called Alien Shift, Shifting with Aliens and Extraterrestrials for Humanity from past eons to 100,000 years from now, when our future generation would melt and do business, trade, and live with extraterrestrials in other planets. How do we know that? I've done 30,000 years forward under hypnosis, and I've seen my future. So that I am the evidence to myself. And these gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, they will tell you that the future is very bright with our cosmic brothers. Therefore, we jump in. Everybody, if you do me a favor, quickly, 2 minutes, introduce yourselves, all of you down there from here.
Well, hello everybody. James Rink here, and I am representing SuperSoldierTalk.com as well as the YouTube channel. And I've been doing videos on YouTube for over 10 years. I am a super soldier. I was involved in the secret space program for 330 plus years. And so my goal was to bring awareness to this whole topic of back in the day when it was called Mill Labs, but now we all call it the secret space program. So yeah, I'm very grateful that I came out here to Vegas, and I'm glad we have a wonderful audience here today, and thank you all for listening in, and I'll hand it over to Johan.
Hello, everybody. My name is Johan Fritz. Thank you guys for being here. I like James. I myself am also a secret space program participant, 240 and backs, and at least 3 programs that I know of. Some of the information you heard earlier is kind of the tip of the iceberg that we were presenting earlier. And I'd like to thank David and some of the other folks here that allowed us to work with them to get this event done. And I'd also like to thank my fellow participants up here on stage, because we all have a different angle of this story to talk about. And we're all presenting information, try to bring healing to this community and get awareness, right?
Exactly.
We want people to actually know what's going on. So thank you.
Thank you. Anthony Zender, welcome.
Thank you, Zaid. It's good and an honor to finally be speaking in front of people about my experience in being a MyLab and a super soldier in the MK Ultra programming for the Secret Space program. I've been awakening now to this since 2012. It began for me. Obviously, I have a lifetime of experience that has led me up to this point. For me, actually, understanding my life has been being part of this program and the Secret Space program, where I've been involved in over 4,500 missions, been to over 162 different planets, and it's all these memories are coming back to me now, and it's definitely a total recall experience, but it's happening because the blank slating doesn't work on about 5% of the MyLabs that they do it. So there are those of us that pretty much get back the whole memory of everything that has happened. So that's what I'm trying to get out, obviously, is my experience, so I can help humanity understand what's really going on, and there's more going on than meets the eye. So, yeah, thank you very much, and I look forward to disclosing.
Hi, I'm Misha Johnston, and thank you for being here. Mine started, I'm probably the oldest one here, but maybe not. But in 1989, mine started, but actually it started when I was born. I was born in an MK Ultra family. My father was my trauma release. He was my trauma therapist. They're not therapist, but trauma. I get all when I talk about him. Okay, he was the bad guy in my life. He was my handler, all right, and so he did the trauma-based torture on me and trained me to split altars. I will be speaking about that tomorrow, a bit, not tomorrow, Sunday, and because of this going on in my life, I also have 2 periods of missing time where I had 8 months missing time. In those particular times, I was in not only in the MK Ultra program, but I was also in the Monarch, the beta programming, and the President Model program. I was trying to survive, learned how to survive, did my own healing, did my own altars integration, and I needed to know how to do that because now, since 1990, I've been doing groups for people who are also having these kinds of experience. And now I do 12 groups a month on internet Zoom. I've been doing them for 7 years. And in fact, I have a couple of them that take in the whole MyLab. I'm also a MyLab experience, take in the MyLab, the Secret Space Program, all of the whole thing. And so you can check that out on Facebook.
Hello, I'm Sarah Adams, and I'm here because of the beings in the room that are surrounding us. They're my family, my kin, and your kin. And I have incarnated on many different planets, and they have given me many messages to remind humanity to ascend back into multidimensionality, something they fell away from many, many eons ago. Thank you.
I'm Margaret Rogers Van Coops. I'm a professor. So unfortunately, I'm different from everybody. I'm a medium, but more importantly, I had my first on-ship experience when I was 3.5. I've been on so many ships. I've worked with the Greys. I have trained my own child and many others. They're on another planet right now. My own child has had 3 children with my eggs, and I know that for a fact.
Good evening. My name is Eric Dabner. I'm better known as Eric the Healer. I'm not a medium, I'm a large. And no, but seriously, I've grown up knowing that they were lying to us about, I remember in the 60s that when we were watching the moon landing on TV, that I was trying to tell my parents that they're not showing exactly what was happening there. And I was very upset, and they were laughing at me, and I definitely have been really lucky in my life meeting magically many people involved in the secret space programs and what they've been trying to hide from us. And I think because I smoke so much pot that it deprograms me to remember everything, and that's why they had to make marijuana genetically modified so it could stop. George Soros signed the Frankendope deal in Uruguay with Bayer and Monsanto. So the marijuana you have to make sure you get is organic and you know where it comes from, and not this GMO weed that doesn't deprogram you. Because we've all been programmed, and there's many things to prove it. There's patents you can find online that, from black plasma screens on TV, computer, and cell phone. And, a lot of people watching TV are really unaware of what's going on. And it's just amazing how how some people think that, you know, they're surprised that I know anything because I don't watch TV, you know, and so it's just amazing. So I've been meeting Saeed since the 80s at these conferences, and we've been working together just, you know.
Too much. I see your face.
Well, it's
all
funny.
my
We
life.
didn't even know that
I don't see my son as much as I see you.
Well, we saw each other so many times that, you know, and then I met other people.
He never gets old. Are you modified?
Well, there's some that
Injected?
do. There's some that do.
Honestly, this
Something
guy
said
is
about
50 years
that.
old.
I'll be 58, actually.
Oh, Jesus.
So, but I'll be 58 Wednesday. I was born
Really?
11/11.
Happy birthday, Eric. I'll give you a hug later.
I was born 11/11, which is
No way.
starseed code, and I know I'm not.
Eric is a special character.
Thanks for talking about me, but
A special being. As much as he's tough, but we love him. Would you like to sit down, Shasta? And then, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I just wanted to finish that. It's been really amazing working with you and meeting.
Yeah,
all
we
these
went through a
special
lot of
people,
stuff.
Meeting all these special people that
Exactly.
verify what we already know. So I just
I
want
mean,
people
we
to be
met thousands
open-minded.
before that they went after money, all those deep. I don't know why they turned this business, this most sacred business in America, to a money-making machine. And this is a crime against humanity because all the research and everything is sacred, should not be Hollywood. Give me $20,000, give me $50,000, you know, make a show like that. We don't do this kind of stuff. That's why they don't like us, but we like them. We want to be like brothers, join and mentally work together with all the races. Is one thing, a step at a time we will get there. I don't want to badmouth about anything. This is a positive event. So, okay, we jump into questions. The question for the panel is, the deep state program, it's a Nazi program, which is, it's a good program because thanks to Hitler, if he did everything evil, he did one thing positive. He liked mysticism and he loved alientology, UFO, anything to do with space that Japanese did not, Russians did not. They were drinking at that time, and Prussians, all the Europeans. Is that true, yes or no? Yeah, that's off.
There you go. Can I interject really fast?
Please.
The person that actually steered that for Hitler was Werner von Braun.
Oh, my mistake. I didn't know that.
He told
And
everybody.
then he come to America. Yeah, my apologies.
He told everybody.
Yeah,
he
I know, but
became head of
Hitler made a
NASA.
decision based on von Braun. Yeah.
He's like, Werner von Braun basically said, we're going to put people on the moon, we're going to put people on Mars, and we're going to put people in space stations.
So we will give the credit to von Braun, and he built the NASA, and he built all the deep state. Okay, now hold on, we haven't finished. So my question is, by getting this space program from Nazis, which von Braun brought to America, paperclip, and all that other programs, this became exclusive. How can I say? I don't want to get it to race, but only for some blue-eyed, white race Americans who are Germanic background. And is that true? Yes or no? Aryan, and they don't let anybody in business. I'm not arguing about that. I'm just saying, what's the future of humanity in space if they're all white guys? I'm not worried about the color or race either. But I'm saying this Nazism stayed in that NASA shit. And you go to moon, you see that Nazi sign and over mountains here, there.
Look at what happened with the Russians, right? The Russians, who are not blonde hair, blue eyed, tried to run their program, and it failed due to financial funding. It literally collapsed in on itself.
Was it knowledge or funding?
Funding. Because when Russia collapsed, right, when they brought the wall down, there was no more funding to put up there.
You're right, their space program crashed, yeah.
Yeah,
I remember.
and even out at
Sputnik and all that
yeah,
shit.
all that stuff basically collapsed until
Actually,
Putin rebuilt it.
They did more to moon than us, probably.
Yeah.
There were more real moon travels. Did we go to moon or not? I'm not talking about deep state. I'm talking about NASA.
I believe we landed there, but the picture you had on your display was actually probably Dark Fleet telling NASA
You
to.
talk to the microphone.
The picture he had on his slide display where he had the ships around the actual crater, that's actually a picture of Dark Fleet ships basically telling NASA to get the F off their planet.
That's what I heard.
And secondly, and more importantly, if you look at the Asian factions, right? So we talked about a Japanese and Chinese Asian faction. They've actually been more successful technically than some of the other groups because they have no financial ties to any of these Nazi-based organizations other than the technology they exchanged.
How far Chinese are in this space? The secret they don't tell people.
Well,
we hear.
We don't know. We hear about them.
We hear, yeah.
But we really don't know.
And they grabbed Keshe. Keshe was my speaker. If you guys know Mehran Keshe, Keshe Foundation, Kesh. Keshe. His last name was Mehran Keshe. He's a Persian scientist. He was out of this world. He is still alive in China. America didn't want to work with him because of too many things. We don't want to get into politics. So Illuminatis, they want to kill him in Belgium and a couple other countries. So he had to he went to Iran actually. His wife, Iranian government gave him everything to stay there, but his wife was a foreign, she didn't want to stay in Iran. And he loved Iran. Iran is a lovely country if you guys travel there, and it's nothing, they love Americans, travelers and everything. It's all politics. I went to Iran after 5 years ago, and I just didn't want to come back. But one thing in Iran, there's no chemtrails, there's no EMF, there's no shit. So my body suddenly changed, and I saw everybody skinny. I said, shit, why these people are so skinny? 40 years I haven't seen them. I said, why am I so fat? Then I thought about it. They don't have hormones. They don't have shit in their food. So they're healthier than us. But now, lately, they have a lot of diseases and stuff because of so many pollutions and sanctions. They have nothing to eat, no drugs to take, medicine, thanks to our administration is hurting the people of Iran instead of fixing the problems. And that's not the way to go. Politics should not be so evil to hurt Venezuelan people, Iranian people, Cuban people, Russian people. These are public people, have lives, and America is destroying the planet because of politics. And they have under the table, they're dealing with Russians, they're dealing with Iranian government, they're dealing with the Venezuelan. It's all politics on the news. But anyway, I'm sorry we're going off the, so therefore Keshe Foundation made the UFO technology. We had him 5 times in our shows. He even showed us how to build the maglev stuff. He has his own UFO, Keshe.org, KesheFoundation.org. And then China said, fuck the West, come on over. We will take care of you and your technology, and he's over there right now. So that's the end of the story there. So, wait a minute. That means China, and he gave the technology to Iran. That's how Iranians brought the airplane down, right, Steve? They brought the U.S. Biggest shit, billions of dollars, they brought it down. And that's why U.S. doesn't go there anymore, in that sense. But go on politics again. Okay, sorry about that. So therefore, going back to Nazis and what about Antarctica? Anybody want to go there? Yeah, go ahead. You want to see something? Please.
Being a medium and being born in 1942 while all this was going on and being bombed every night, I want you to know that he was not happy working for the German government. Braun, he wanted to go to the moon. He was motivated by that from when he was a very young child.
He hated Nazism. That's why.
And he hated Nazism, but he knew that the only way to realize his dream.
He wasn't Republican.
And here, I have to add, the man was highly psychic and downloading information. And he was also, like me, connected to the aliens.
I heard he was such a humanitarian person, such a lovely heart, and people who worked with him, we heard in research. What do you want to say? Sorry about that.
Well, Dr. Werner von Braun's secretary was a good friend of mine, Dr. Carol Roslin. Dr. Carol Roslin I met she was my grocery customer in the 80s, and she told me exactly what has been happening all these years until now. She told me exactly what happened with the Middle East, and everything she said came to pass. And she said the final straw would be the fake alien invasion. And that's all we have to see.
What do you guys think about fake alien invasion?
Can I go back to time travel and that Hitler and his group, they had been time traveling all the way back from Mars, and they are in this current reality right now.
Oh, you're saying
Hitler
the
was
Martians who came here in human type.
They're not Martians. No,
what
they're
are
a
they?
different force.
The what?
They're a different force.
Oh, different.
They're not ETs. And Hitler was also Nero. He shows up in different timelines, this specific being, and he currently is in this timeline.
I hear that too. Do you believe it now? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. About the fake alien invasion, I know it's obviously one of the cards that the elite have to play. Obviously, one of the cards that they had to play was a pandemic and an epidemic as well, and we're seeing that as everything is unfolding. And one of the things that I do know is that the final card that they have is the fake alien invasion.
So is
which,
that pandemic is an alien attack?
Yeah, well,
I think
yeah, in a
I
way,
had a feeling.
definitely.
I had a feeling they gave the technology of the virus to some governmental.
It's
to CIA.
the COVID virus is a biochemical,
bioweapon.
artificial AI weapon.
They
And
gave the technology from alien to CIA. CIA took it to China to develop it with Billy G and the other groups, and they modified it in China. And now somebody.
They're
what's
using
the rest?
they're
Can
using
you connect the dots?
viruses. They're using viruses to suppress consciousness on this planet.
We know exactly.
They don't come from the aliens. It comes from the lower archonic forces or the disembodied spirits that are battling with the ETs currently. And the card that they want to pull is to say that the ETs are evil, when actually the ETs are here to help humanity out.
Well, one race of ET out of 5 is attacking us, right? The reptilians? No? Yeah.
There are certain beings who have fallen from the light, but humanity has also fallen from the light. So we are here to heal each other and also pass the light to each other.
David, the virus, I was saying this a while back, that it's 5,000 years old. And I did a whole thing about how you can kill it with colloidal silver. However, it came to me that someone told me that there is a video that you can all find on YouTube where I was backed up with what I said. They take ice cores from the poles, and they went back ice poles from the core of the North Pole. They take those, and with what I said, they investigated and they found the virus in the ice poles 5,000 years ago. It is an alien virus. It has come from outside our hemisphere.
Oh, you're saying same virus, they modified
It's the
it.
same virus, but the thing about it that you need to understand is the way it's made, it mutates. There's little red blobs all the way around the
That's interesting.
Each one can fall off if it wants to mature into a fully grown virus. It feeds like a sucker. It feeds in off the body. It feeds on our large corpuscles that we have that are like jellos that roll around and eat up our bacteria. And so it can neutralize them, it can copy them, it feeds it into the central nucleus of the virus, and then it can rebirth itself. And that's why we're expecting another lot, because it will now attack not our heart and lungs, it will go into our lymphatic system. That's what you have to be careful of now. Okay? Don't go into the other side.
Sarah, 1 second.
Be
Sarah.
aware.
Hold on, Sarah want to say something.
So there's a portal in the Arctic. The reason that it's frozen is because when the virus, which is an energetic lower force that came through through a gate on Mars, came through and it was coming onto this planet, which was the last planet that was inhabited. There was a force field that was thrown around this planet, and the gates were closed, whereas all the other beings from the other planets evacuated those planets to this planet until they could get that force under control. That force appears on this planet through viruses and different things, and it was frozen to close that gate in the Arctic.
Was Mars attacked a nuclear event by a race about 100,000 years ago, yes or no?
It was longer than that, but yes.
Yes?
There's actually trace material on the surface of Mars, where there's cesium, strontium, and other chemical traces that actually shows the after effect of nuclear blasts on the surface.
How many years or 100 more million?
Well, James and I chatted about this, and the range we guess is 500,000.
Yeah, the last golden age on Mars was 500,000 years ago, at least according to some
Were
of
there
the
humans there too, or no? Before Anunnakis?
Well, we're talking about pre-Adamites, and some of them are cannibals, as well as the Draco were there. Of course, the Mantis, and then the humans were busy doing their thing, and then they settled Earth, and then once they started getting a civilization going on, then the pre-Adamites said, we should come over here and let's control
Did they
them.
bring the Japanese and then American Indians from Pleiades and then the other group from another planet? Or how did they bring so many different races here?
Earth was the backup planet, just like you would have a USB. Earth was the backup planet that had all the DNA on it.
They brought the DNAs, not the people.
Earth was a planet like a laboratory. It had all the DNA on it.
So they didn't need to fly the people over.
No, and not only that, they weren't flying. They were entering different bodies. They were multidimensional, so they could go in and out of bodies. They were creating bodies via genetics.
What do you think about Mayans suddenly shifted through stargates and million people?
I traveled through stargates. That's quite easy. And I said I traveled through stargates. That's quite easy. And the reason the mummies in Egypt, you think they're dead, they just left their bodies. They instantaneously left their body. Their body began to wither because the energy of the soul was left their body. So they didn't physically die like everybody's saying.
She got a different point of view. It's interesting.
I traveled through.
I'm trying to understand that.
The phrase that she's talking about is in the Egyptian mythos.
Of mummification.
Right. They actually have a belief within the Egyptian belief set that says those souls that are actually put through the scales of Ma'at and weighed on that scale eventually move into what's called the Duat, which is that higher density form of energy that you're talking about.
We just jump in and out of bodies through different timelines. And when we jump out of the body would die, or just like taking clothes off.
Spirituality, because this event is about alien shift.
No, they're both right.
We could
it's tied in.
It is tied in, but
to answer.
Let's see, Zender want to say something.
I was going to continue to talk about the fake alien invasion because of technology that's used, obviously, in it. It's like Project Bluebeam, and all of this technology has actually already been used on humanity in 9/11. That it was used. Holographic technology was used to produce, planes going into buildings.
We know that.
Yeah, and they still use the technology all around us. But what I'm saying is final card being played, them uncloaking, the holographic technology around.
Regardless of fake alien invasion, what do you think about another group of real alien attack? Anybody?
What I've heard is, from sources I know, it's going to be like a trumping of power. Once they show their stuff, there's going to be another group that shows their stuff, and another group that shows their stuff, and then pretty soon.
James is very quiet. I want to see what
people are going to be seeing
James saying. James, talk.
Yeah. So. When doing some remote viewing in the future, obviously the timelines are not set in stone. So what we've seen is a city ship will come down that's empty, and it's going to be hovering over the ocean, and the media will, obviously the governments of the world will try to hide it or pretend it doesn't exist, but it'll be there and everybody can see it, and people can walk onto this city area and use the med beds, get healed, and there'll be no aliens initially, but that will be one of the first contact events. But I like to think that this would be more a positive way of happening, because if we have a fake alien invasion, what's going to happen is in the history books, when 10,000 years from now, 20,000 years, we're going to look back, we're going to see how things change. I think the first contact event should be a positive one, not one that's going to cause the death of a lot of people.
Because I've heard that it's not on this timeline, not on this timeline.
I would also like to add something on this too. So two points. You asked about the Mayans. They actually went to Alcyon, Pleiades. They're actually picked up, and they've been living there.
So they showed them a better picture. Let's go through the gate. Boom.
Second point I'll make. I've heard something similar to what James has said. I would agree that I would like to say that those of us in this room could actually co-create a more positive outcome in terms of actually having a timeline where we look at these aliens that are coming here, when they do finally come here, and we say, you know what, we want people who actually co-create positively with us instead of feeding off of us, right? Mm-hmm. That would be the answer that I would put out there if someone had to ask me that question at this point. I've also talked about the fact that Project Lazarus, which we haven't really discussed yet. Project Lazarus is essentially the reactivation of SSP assets if something like this were to go awry.
Wait, what is Lazarus again?
Project Lazarus was a fail-safe put in place for SSP assets in the event that they actually had something go sideways with aliens that came here to create disclosure.
To
create disclosure.
Can I ask about...
Hold on. He's in a very...
Oh, sorry.
Excuse me, he hasn't finished. Let him talk. I'm
Time.
sorry?
I want to hear what he says about timeline. I'm sure people...
No, don't throw him off. He was right there. Please do not cross each other. Let him talk. Yeah.
So
he's on a streaming. Go ahead.
So Project Lazarus essentially was put in place by some of the programs, especially the Super Board, in the event that something went sideways, that we needed to protect Earth with assets that were already here, and we could reactivate these assets and use them to protect humanity or act as liaisons. Now, in that respect, we've already got people up here who are trained, who've already interfaced with alien species, or maybe who are reincarnated alien species. And we
Myself too many times.
Right, and we can actually...
From childhood.
And we can
they call me David. I say, why you guys call me David? They pick, you know why? It means beloved. All my life I say, why they're telling me your name is David? My name is Saeed, but since I went to England and college and all the... Anyway, but sorry about that.
The point is that we have people up here who have already done interfacing with aliens or are reincarnated aliens, and we're the perfect people to actually talk with this species when they come down, because we already know...
Yeah, we are the point of contact, because a street guy in downtown Las Vegas would freak out, and he would cry like the COVID. He would fear aliens.
So I believe somebody asked the question about timelines, right? So let's talk about timelines just for a second, right? The first thing that we humans have got to understand is time is circular, it is not linear.
Circular means what?
Everything is happening now.
Oh, yeah, circular, yeah, it is.
Non-linear time means that you can have access to any point in time right now with the right training, the right technology.
The field right here, past, future, present. Okay.
It's all happening at the same time.
I heard about that.
Secondly, and more importantly, once you have that idea buttoned down, that means that other timelines can in fact be in play. The question is what is the more probable timeline, right? This is where our co-creative abilities come into play.
Most likely events will happen tomorrow.
Right, and we've talked about some of this already in our discussion, where we know at least 2 or 3 timelines.
Study on that, right?
Yeah, and we know
on probability of timelines. Yeah.
We know of at least 2 or 3 timelines where we've actually seen.
What do you see? What do you saw?
Well, like we talked about this whole thing with Hitler in one timeline killing Paul Serene, and the other timeline Paul Serene survives and Hitler dies. So we know of at least 2 timelines that have been active here on this planet that we've seen this stuff happen, right?
What's Hitler to do with all this?
I'm just saying, I'm giving you an example of how timelines
how
exist.
How this happen? I mean, who is Hitler? Was it an alien?
No.
She said from Mars or something.
Yeah, Anthony, we were talking about how the Nazi timeline is merging with our own, and even some of these others, like the Soviet timeline with the Antifa. Could you explain a little bit? Do you have any information on that?
Yeah, and Obama administration went to Antarctica to deal with Nazis. Is that what happened?
Well,
They
I just know that about the merging reality right now that's happening with the merging Nazi reality, because it's going to be like a Mandela effect, you know, when the this parallel reality that's the Nazi reality that's actually the real reality is commonly accepted by the masses, you know, that's going to cause the Mandela effect. And that is going to shift us into that reality where the Nazis, you know, did win, the technology was released, and all of that's going to be the reality.
Wait a minute, these home UFOs are all Nazi or American NASA stuff? Secret program?
Well, understanding the technology is coming from Nazi background is going to be part of.
Are they all coming from underground, Antarctica or wherever, or is it from other planets? What do you think? Anybody? Catalina Island, because we've seen a lot of shit coming out of the ocean, and there's the deepest ocean in Catalina, 10,000 feet down. Do you guys know that? Do you guys know that? Catalina? Between Los Angeles and Catalina, the deepest ocean in the world is 20,000 feet. And all the UFOs are coming out of there. Many people in Santa Monica swear they reported. And I've heard in
bases that exist here on Earth that are in fact occupied by alien occupants, I'm going to use the term non-terrestrial occupants, are actually multi-special. A lot of these craft you're seeing out of certain bases may in fact have a mixture of beings on them. They may come from multiple locations, multiple timelines, all kinds of stuff. Well, and
right?
we talked about the gravity dip engine technology earlier.
I've seen in my life that the guy suddenly next to me in airport that he want to get there, but like you say, they suddenly somebody next to you, in front of you, talking to you, all different kind of stuff. Well, you Holden, you want to say something?
I did. In terms of timelines, why I was asking you that question is it's part of what I'm going to give in my talk on Sunday. Is if you think of the ships, how they go like this, and you wonder how they do it, they're crossing timelines through the light and the vibration. And I know how the ships fly because I've actually looked at the engines.
Have you been abducted?
I was never abducted. I went willingly. Okay.
You what?
I went willingly.
Can you stick this? We can't hear you. Her accent. Speak American, please.
I went a half, and my parents had found the police. The second time I was 7, and again they were calling the police. But after that, I knew I was going. I used to feel, you know, it goes on. But what I'm trying to talk about display is the best way I can explain it. So you can cross over from one speck of light to another in an instant second, as long as you are riding on the vibration of resonation of sound. And this is what I want to get across, because it's so important. Our future is not based on oil and coal. It's based on sonic, subsonic, and supersonic sound. And we will be able to light our houses, and we will be able to fly on these white light things that we see at any angle in time. It's already
I believe
there.
it's in light also.
Light is created
Because
by sound.
light,
Sound is friction.
we can
Frequency.
fly.
You want to add to this?
We can fly extraterrestrial machines with light. We don't need a plasma machine. What's the engine of UFOs you guys worked in? Can you talk to this? You don't like that speaker? You want the microphone this way?
I was from understanding my operation of advanced technology is like the Merkaba field, and the understanding of the Merkaba and then
I heard about it. I don't
lighting
understand
that
it.
light body up, because that's how other races like the Palladians, you know what I'm saying? They don't need ships to even travel. They use their light bodies through their Merkaba, and then they can interdimensional vehicle, time travel vehicle. That's how that.
So their body is with the machine. They're like interacted, connected. and their mind can fly the machine.
The human
like,
is
like we heard.
the Emerald Tablets of Atlantis. You know,
Can you
say-
talk? Stick this to your mouth.
The Emerald Tablets of Atlantis say that the human being is the ultimate form of technology.
Yes.
And then obviously
creation.
activating the Merkaba field, that does activate
Well,
the
how
light
do you
body.
activate the? Where is the Merkaba
It's
field?
it's in the it's contained in the Egyptian, you know, initiation.
Wait a minute.
Mystery teaching.
What do you think about the Cheops pyramids? Cheops, you go inside the sarcophagus. They found the powders, the white powders. Nobody was buried there. They found that Egyptians used to lay down there for a few nights, 3 nights, I believe. After third night, the pineal gland secretion would come out of the nose like a white foam. And once they're asleep there, you didn't know about that? And they found this thick. When Al-Ma'mun, the Khalifa, Islamic Khalifa, he got in, they went a lot of bats. I studied that. They went inside a pyramid with a flashlight to find gold or some mummy or some. They found that white powder almost.
It is gold. It's gold and it's
No, man, it's coming from the nose. It's
the white powder is
it's coming
gold
from your
in
brain?
the powder form.
From your pineal gland.
It's monatomic gold.
Is that what it comes?
It's the white powder. That's where they get the levitation.
Their
and the
initiation
sarcophagus
was
and-
you 3 nights you sleep there, all the shit comes out your nose, and once they wake up, so they left the stuff there. That's this much thick. They found, and they didn't. They said they told Al-Ma'mun we didn't find anything.
It's because they teleported somewhere else.
Hold on, who's talking?
Because
Don't
I've
talk with
been-
that.
Sorry, the resonation of the pyramid, because I've been in there and I've also had great experiences, which I won't bore everybody with. But the bottom line is the resonation of the entire pyramid is in the key of C. And all the channels that I knew about from when I was talking to Ramesses, because I channel Ramesses and all the rest of it.
You channel Ramesses.
Yeah, I channel
Oh my
God.
God.
I've channeled
That's all we need.
But anyway, that's
You're
not
dangerous,
it.
lady.
So
Whoa.
let me say what I'm saying.
Ramesses.
Okay, so the pyramid, the Great Cheops Pyramid, is in the key of C, and all the chambers that have holes are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, C. It's a scale. You hear la 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 in your C. You hear all the notes.
I will own for you.
Okay. I could hear.
Thank you.
I could hear. Now I can hear. I could hear.
Okay, let's go back to our subject.
You
went to Ramesses and Om and
So what I'm trying to say is.
so much is spirituality here.
The same with the Sphinx. It
Let
has the
let the mama of ufology say something. Okay, later. Go ahead, sir.
The ships are created when they condense energy. When you condense energy, it makes a solid object. All of this is energy. It's just condensed energy. That's what makes solid forms. So what they do is they manipulate cosmic energy to create the ship around themselves. That's how they create their ships.
That's how they create
UFOs.
their ships.
UFOs.
I understand. How? Go ahead and say something. What do you want to say? Okay, you don't have. Okay. Hold on. Who want to say something?
Nothing about chips later. All right.
Say something.
Okay, well, I will talk about, rather than the ships, a little farther back where we were talking about the ETs and the false flag and all of that. I believe that what I've seen in the many years that I've been working with experiencers is, and I see it over and over again, that this enlightenment that is happening, it's happening because the star seeds, hybrids, have come here, they've incarnated here, they're going to be in places of importance. Someday, you know, like right now, we have a lot of people importance that are not good people. So that they're going to play very important parts. The hybrids also are connecting with many of us, and they ask us to connect with them. Also, the extraterrestrials are very much trying to get everyone to connect with them. I see this happening over and more and more and more and more in my groups, that people are waking up. Like The pandemic was bad. However, it woke up more people than I've ever seen it wake up. And an unbelievable amount of people woke
fear,
up.
right?
They
Fear.
had to come where the dirt meets the water or
We
whatever,
shifted to
they
4
had
and
to
50,
shit or get off
right?
the pot.
And
I'm
back
sorry.
and forth, 50. That's true.
But they did, and the people are waking up, and they're coming to
It
people
would
like
take
myself.
20 years. It would take 20 years. I would teach that guy to be consciousness and like my kids and stuff. But overnight, these people.
Overnight, they're
That was the
crying for
advantage of
help. They're
pandemic.
needing to find out. They want to know what the mission is. I believe that so many people like are here that are awake are part of that mission control. We are part of the ground crew. We
You
are
shouldn't
here
be- you
because
shouldn't
we
be-
have to be.
You should not be afraid of virus. First of all, let me ask you, who is O positive negative here? Oh, wow, look at these three, Jesus. Are you, Shasta? O positive negative? Alan, I can't believe you are. We are the royal blood, and we are the last ones to die from COVID. O positive, that's a scientific report. So, viva la vida to O's. All right. But it doesn't matter dying or there is no death, so you pass the gate and you grab another body or whatever next life is, or up there or down there or whatever. So
That's true. You've had thousands of lifetimes.
I've seen after death and all this stuff. I even experienced my death through a flotation tank. It was the scariest shit in my life because the kids put the flowers on my grave. I got 5 kids. And said, oh, he was a great dad. We love him. And they didn't even fucking cry. They were laughing and partying. And they walked away and they were having fun. Another fucking funeral. Dad is gone. And because I don't have any money. Otherwise they would fight each other. Anyway, more than what you see now because your mind is, your third eye is open. And I never forget that because my vision was woo. And when the kids left, now I'm in a flotation tank, 2 hours, and I'm dead in the death chamber I'm experiencing. I said, kids, come back, where are you guys going? Nobody could hear me, and I could talk. And at that moment, what I understood, you have to learn how to fly and rise and be like a butterfly. Otherwise, you'll be dead in the grave and you can never rise. All this stuff about the angels grab you in light and shit is bullshit. The human spirit is the one who has to fly. And if you don't learn to fly now in meditation, in love and harmony and consciousness, if your consciousness is dim, you will not be able to fly after death. That means the worse death than death. Because you have to fly, and once you fly, you can go anywhere, experience anything in a second, any country, any pleasure, any pain.
That's the Merkaba they're talking about, Said. That's the Merkaba.
Oh, is that right?
The Merkaba is what
I
you're,
didn't know
exactly
that.
what you're talking about.
Is that right?
Yeah. They don't
Thank
need
you.
a spaceship. You're doing it with your spirit. They're the advanced
Oh,
ones that
the
don't need
spirit is a
yeah.
vehicle.
You
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah, well, I'm just
I
trying
knew
to say,
about Merkaba, but I didn't know.
the first experience I had when I activated it in bilocation was I was sitting on the edge of a dock, and I was in meditation and moved to the pyramids. Obviously bilocating, and I was moved to the pyramids, and that was to bring up a lot of past life memories because I was initiated in the pyramids, and like you were talking about the sarcophagus. In the chamber, I was actually in the Egyptian mystery schools. Yeah, so I mean that is part of my awakening.
Your past lives, yeah.
And
You do look like Egyptian.
I remember
But seriously.
memories of being in the Egyptian mystery schools and being in the
Is that right?
in the pyramid. Yeah, and those were coming back when I was
So
like
she was
6
too.
years
She
old.
was in Egypt,
Yeah.
and I can feel it. And not them. They're hold on. I have to do a reading, but that's not important right now. Who was where and where was I and
Just
where
that
was
you
he?
remember that you were there.
Yeah, we were all somewhere, but that's not an issue. Go ahead.
Yeah, but that was all I want to say was the teachings of the Merkaba, especially the Flower of Life, the ancient secret of the Flower of Life, by John Val Melchizedek.
Union of the
You guys keep your questions ready. We got half an hour left. Hurry up. Go ahead.
It's a union of opposites. It looks like it's got a male triangle going up and a female triangle going down. They come together and form a. Let's get back to
Sarah, I want to say something. I'm sorry.
the
Let's get
message
back on
isn't.
track. You got 7 speakers here.
Eric,
David?
thank you. Is my ingenuity, thank you. Sorry.
I wanted
You
to
want
say.
to, go ahead. My apologies. Go ahead.
Thank you. Sirs who come from the other realms. They're bringing up the karmic books of each one of your political leaders so you can see all their shadows. And when you see their shadows.
For actors, paid actors, because my friend found this website. You probably know that all these politicians are actors.
To see, you know, they're right here. They've never left. Okay, they're shapeshifters.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you see Nancy Pelosi's eyes go slate,
No
what
doubt
that
about
means.
They are very lost men who have opened gates to keep this planet down. While this energy is fed on humanity and gave them status and power and fame and whatever else they wanted.
Are we going to be alive tomorrow?
Hey, David.
What I'd like
Yes,
to say
because
is
humanity.
nobody's mentioned this, and I think we should. DNA and the RNA of
Sarah.
our spirit, which is a star seed coding.
No, you won't.
And if you basically realize this, some of us are really good and some are really bad because we need conflict in order to grow emotionally, mentally, physically.
Are they our
spiritually.
space brothers or are
And
they
so,
our enemies?
Wait, let me finish. So, what I'm trying to say is that
Ramses.
no one's in the wrong place doing the wrong thing at the wrong time because everything that is happening on the time system is relative to our evolvement. And yes, it doesn't matter if we are an alien or 49 billion lives in.
So, about the politician stuff.
Yes.
You're dead on.
Thank you.
My age, if we're Palladians, I'm not a Mark Turin, so hi. I'll put that out there. So, to answer the fourth question I heard him ask was about the engine designs and that sort of stuff. He's at it all the time.
Yes.
We do have technology that does it, but not like the way they do.
Right.
We're always trying to mimic what they do through low.
And one of the things they were trying to do to us is split our consciousness into a dolphin body, because dolphins have sound and vibrational frequencies to open these portals. They can also create a spaceship, and there is a catechin spaceship. I remember if it was either Saturn or Jupiter, but either way, it's out there. It's a massive ship where they can go from anywhere in our planet, in our oceans, to this catechin ship, and then travel to other oceans and other planets. So the reason why they were trying to do, the military was trying to do this Dolphin Super Soldier program was to get access to these portals and this technology. But what happened is the Dolphins hated how they treated the kids. And after, it only lasted 18 months, they just
saw on all the art, the dolphins are always depicted in the tile, and you see them working with people.
All dying, you know what I'm saying? And that's obviously not something that's good that these deep underground military bases are responsible for. But that's part of the missions that are going on right now is taking care of these places that are responsible for this destruction, you know.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I wanted to say is that the earth is a spirit and you might see her as solid matter. I also wanted to say is that we talk about super soldier programs and how specific people are targeted, but actually the entire planet has been targeted. This is why you have chemtrails and vaccinations and many different heavy metals in your foods and in your health and beauty products and via the aluminum that is being sprayed in our skies. What they're doing is they are connect the aluminum, the heavy metals get into the cells, and that connects us up directly to the satellite system, which is connected to, of course, the underground bases, and that creates soldiers that they can use to fight the what I call positive races and positive interdimensional beings that are trying to help out this planet and humanity. So the whole world has been targeted to be soldiers in an interdimensional war that's currently playing out.
Yes,
One second.
and I happen to agree on the point about heavy metals specifically. Go check out sometime when you guys look at, for example, your underarm deodorant. I know this is kind of a dumb example, but go do it sometime.
No, it's a great example.
Because
Aluminum zirconium.
Aluminum zirconium is present in almost all of them. And it actually, they've done studies where the absorbed aluminum coming out of some of these products can actually affect Alzheimer's and other diseases of the
No doubt about
mind, because those tissues absorb that aluminum.
Right.
And also
it also becomes the antenna for 5G. the aluminum, also in the vaccinations.
And to Anthony's point, I also like to say that there are things that we have seen, some of the super soldiers that have been in some of these programs, we've also seen how some of these things that the cabal are doing is almost specifically designed to take these particular groups of dolphins and other higher, in my opinion, higher forms of life
Right.
off the planet to lower the vibrational density.
Right. Definitely. That's why they've been killing in en masse the dolphins.
Just one.
That's why they're taking the oceans, because there's water on each planet, and the spaceships go through the oceans and many different interdimensional beings. So they go through the water to teleport via the minerals or mine of Ra. We have the sun god in Egypt, Ra, which holds light. So the oceans hold light. So what they're doing is they're polluting it via, a well spills and all of that to bring down the frequency of the oceans and also to block us off from help from the other dimensions.
Even like poisoning hurricanes and stuff are like what they're doing, because like Hurricane Irma, I was actually in Florida when Hurricane Irma hit, and I actually found out that they were seeding the hurricanes with poisons and stuff, and I actually saw a physical example because I went down to the ocean right before the hurricane hit, and there was a black line all the way across the ocean, and then I actually went up, and it was all manatees, you know, that were escaping away from the poisons that were being put in the hurricanes and stuff.
Also, they use the polar vortex too. They use the polar vortex to spread, and that's why it's,
Can I just say something? Sorry, I've been holding on.
Go ahead.
I want to go back in history to Noah's Ark, and we say 2 by 2 animals. Now we know today, we're talking about the actual DNAs, and we've come so far in technology. But if I go back 20,000 years before that, I hear from Spirit that we have been 10 to 15 foot tall people from another planet, okay? Now, that's just one example. We've been talking about different directions and different time seeds.
There were giants,
all these
yes.
things. And what I'm trying to say is, we should stop blaming and shaming everybody that we've got and start pulling our resources together to become one humanity, the human race. I don't want to hear black, white, pink, purple, blue. We're all encoded with the DNA of aliens. We are biotechnically
We're a combination of
engineered.
22 aliens.
Right, we are biotechnically engineered people, and I want us to be happy, and I'd like to end this that way.
Thank you.
Rather than destructive. We keep talking about what's bad. I want to hear what's good from people.
It's going to the good. It's been stopped. We're on top of it. We asked for help, and they came, and they're helping. And you're seeing many things unfolding, I promise. Okay, I know firsthand that you're going to see
The giants in some of those groups.
when oxygen was.
I happen to agree with the idea that you mentioned about this idea of this more positive aligned outcome, and I think I've said this previously. It's our job also to help these entities actually manifest and co-manifest that positive outcome that we want. So
It's going to happen. Nothing can stop what's coming.
well, what that means specifically is that our mind, our speech, our heart, all have to be in alignment with our spirit, speaking and creating that outcome to occur.
Yes, we have to hold this higher light.
This is a
higher
training
vibration.
exercise. Yes, and this is a training
Yes.
exercise for all of us
And
to
we
do this.
create the timelines. We don't realize it, but we create the timelines. Okay, we're the
Also-
ones that are creating them.
Also, the children born now, like your generation and younger, they have 2, 3, 4, and 6 DNA strands that are extra.
Yep.
They're reading at 1 and 2 years old.
Yep.
They're standing on a stage and singing like they're 30.
Yep.
We're going to see a big change. I may not live to
We-
see
we've
all
been
that,
seeing.
but you will see it.
Yeah.
And we need to support those children.
Yeah.
We can't give them negative responses. We have to give them positive teaching lessons.
Yes, yes. I liked what everybody said. And to back up about the technology, I wanted to back up about the Hannibal. BMW, Bavarian Motor Works, was making the UFO engines, and Matsushita in Japan was making the UFO engines. But this technology, there's two technologies. There's implosive technology and explosive technology. Of course, explosive technology is not good for the planet, and it's not good for the way we do things. It's not good to drive around with our cars with internal combustions going off. Whenever you have something implosive, it's getting the energy from another place, another dimension, and bringing it here. If you look at the Rodin coil, there's, like Tesla said, the secrets leader is 369. Well, that 9 is always a center point, and it's coming from we're getting more energy than we started with. It's coming from somewhere else. There's technology that we're going to learn more about who we are and ready to join meet our star families. So we're going to be able to see exactly what's been going on. I work with reptilians, okay? I've seen their pupils go to slits and scales on their face, okay? And there are some aliens here. You know, we don't realize these things that every day, but we're going to be able to see these things because this veil is going to be lifted, and we have to hold this higher vibration so we can have more light, because we've already been pushed up, and so as these things unfold, all these secrets will come out that are recorded in time, that you see in art. They usually burn the books and they try to keep things secret, but thanks to these people having these connections and remembering, we can all pull this up and remember, and it rings true. You feel it, because there's no mistake why we're all here together and why you're here together, because we've done this before. We made a promise to be here and fix this, and we're going through the greatest time in history, and it's just so amazing to be here, and we're so lucky to have the opportunity to have a panel like this to talk about these topics that we can't talk anywhere else with. So, thank you so much early, before we're done, for speaking your mind from your heart, and because that's what rings true. You can hear it. Truth slices through the bullshit, and you can hear it resonates, this frequency. Is there something that you want to? I'd like to go through down and just have your last thoughts on what we're talking before we're over, because it'll take that long to finish.
Okay, to
wrap it.
Yeah, to wrap this up, chemtrails, they are made on Mars by within the MCC. Monarch is involved in that, and if I'm not mistaken, Umbrella, and they have to make these chemicals cannot be made on planet Earth. As well as COVID, originally they created that on Mars through alien extraterrestrial material, as well as AI, and that was involved with Umbrella. And
so the nano aluminum is probably what
the
they're
particulates
making over there.
I would say it's a lot more. It's more than just nano. It's more like femto.
What?
Femto, the biobots. They're much smaller. Yeah,
okay.
much smaller in size.
So
we're all being laced with this.
That's the nano aluminum, I think.
Femto, yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, there might be some projects that are using nano, but typically they would focus on femto. So
it's finer than nano.
Yes, much smaller in size.
You said that
Yes.
before. Yes. Excellent.
Yeah. So they sent that. Yeah, they sent this over to DARPA, and under Project Cornus, which is a supercomputer, they were working on trying to create a way to create like a hive mind here on this planet.
Yes.
But apparently the merge group was involved in reversing the contamination, and I'm assuming some of the positive ETs were involved.
Yes.
Maybe Anthony can comment about that. I also have in my notes here that the Ananabra was also involved with collecting some of the technology for the Nazis, and maybe Johan can comment a little bit more about the Ananabra.
Okay, but just before Johan, the nano aluminum and the corporations and
the planetary corporations involved in this.
Yeah, that's what I want to say is I've heard that the white hats took over, that they're not. I saw chemtrails as I went to dinner and came back quickly, and I was wondering if it was because I heard that the chemtrails has been stopped, but I saw some, but then I heard maybe that there's positive things they're spraying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
it has not stopped. These planetary corporations are still in power, and Mars is an absolute mess right now. The MCC is turning a blind eye to these nefarious groups that are they set up labs and they rent out space rather, and the MCC makes, as long as they're making plenty of money. But the problem is that they're doing so many bad things. Like Murkoff Group is, they took MK Ultra to the 9th level. They just went to the absolute extreme possible it could have been, and they're creating like these hive-minded super soldiers that are effective with femto. And so this potential reality could manifest as a negative timeline, but the timelines are also moving into positive. On April 26, 2020, the egregory of the planet turned to mostly positive, 50% positive.
That's what I
So at that point, that means we're going to keep resonating to the more positive pendulum, and the negative timelines that these other planetary corporations, they're going to be fading away. The residuum, I think, is the correct term. But does that answer your question?
I love it. Thank you. That's perfect. I want you to make sure that you all understand what he's saying, that there are these multinational, multi-galactic corporations that he's talking about that are doing these things.
So to continue on with what James is saying, you've got groups like the international and planetary corporate conglomerate groups. They're the ones that are actually pushing these agendas, and they're the ones that have to be brought to heel at some point by Space Force.
Yes.
The argument that James and I are making is that actually has not happened yet, and exactly what Anthony said, that's an ongoing operation to actually make that actually happen at some point.
Right.
So,
Can we name just a handful of corporations that the ones that you remember? You said Umbrella, Mobius.
Well, those are actual those are actual corporate and program names that are used to describe the actual work being done. Depending upon the corporation,
they're not the actual corporations.
Some of them are not actual corporations, but some are. For example, Umbrella actually is, right?
Yeah, and I've seen Umbrella Corporation in movies too.
Right.
They show.
Soft disclosure, right? The other thing that I would say too, and you kind of touched on this, and I happen to fully agree with this. This gets back to what I was saying earlier about us making this choice to actually take a more positive, co-creative side of this, right?
Yes.
We now know that we have the ability to do this, and we as co-creators in our own reality have to make that choice to choose a more positive option.
Yeah.
That's what each and every single one of you in this room has the freedom and the right to do, and I'm suggesting to each of you to make that choice.
Yes, believe. And it's simple as believing that in a positive outcome, because we create it. I'll get back to you at the end. Let me finish the line. Don't forget. Write it down. Go ahead, Anthony.
I just obviously on the closing point, I just want to address what I believe is most important, and that is obviously the education of the generations to come. With this information that we're coming out with, because the children are like the most important thing, part of this whole ascension process.
No doubt about it.
And they are coming in. The starseeds are coming in, and they're geniuses, and it's just like they're coming in to make a change. So it's like we're kind of like the forerunners that are paving the way for this whole new civilization that we're getting ready to experience, because we're going to be going from a type 0 into a type 1 civilization, which is the next level. So that's what we're getting prepared for. Yeah, the Kardashev scale. But type 1 is the next level up, and that's obviously experiencing 0 point technology, free energy, and all that. So yeah, the future is bright. It definitely is. So.
That's what I want to hear. That's good. I'm on a positive note. Yes, Misha.
Well, I do want to end on a positive note, but there's just a couple of things I'd like to mention. One of them being the psychotronic warfare that is going on with us. It is huge. I see it in my hypnotherapy practice. I see it with my groups. There's so many people that are being targeted, and they are the guinea pigs of what they plan on doing to the populace, the powers that be. So what we have to do is the counteraction of it is to raise our consciousness in every way we can, in our diet, in our, and I'm speaking to the choir here because all of you people know that, but to get it out to the people is
Well, to
that are out there.
get it
That's
out
the
to the
most.
young people.
Well, and that's a very good point.
Yeah.
I'm very concerned about the millennials. Very
Yeah.
concerned about them because they are so locked into these games. The
Yep.
games, of course, have been used up in space as
Military
their
training.
practice. In the MK Ultra program, and these games were used. Now our children have them. Our 3-year-olds have them. I cannot tell you how bad the games are.
I know.
That they are programming these millennials.
Yeah. And they're,
And they're
military.
programming these games. So if it is on a screen, and they see it, just like if it's on the screen in the TV and they see it, they know it has to be true. So all of the programming, all of the Project Mockingbird, all of the game programming that's going on to desensitize them to the violence that has happened is just so horrific. So if you're a grandparent, if you're a parent, you've got to see if you can get them off the games, because I think that it's going to be. They're supposed to be the hope of our future. That does scare me with the millennials.
The key word she used is psychotronics, okay? We had Rayuni Kilda with us talking about it many years ago, a handful of years ago, and she was just about to write her first book in English, and they killed her. She went to a hospital, and they killed her in that hospital. They killed Kilda Rayuni, and her book was on psychotronic weapons. And that's the fake alien invasion, is this AI, artificial intelligence, that is the virus. The virus is in your computer, okay? Because viruses have never been isolated or proven to exist. What we're talking about are retroviruses and a needle, okay? You have to, because we didn't understand simple colds or flus, how in the hell do we understand a virus? Viruses have to be isolated, and please give me one example if somebody wants to argue with me, okay? And I suggest you listen to Dr. Robert Young that I'll be talking to and Skyping in, and also Arthur Furstenberg, so about the invisible rainbow, because you have to isolate it and use the gold standard to prove it exists. What we have are retroviruses that are man-made, that are able to be patented, okay? They made this corona isn't a virus, it's a corona effect. It's the corona effect on a cell, okay? Dr. Robert Young is going to explain it really well tomorrow, hopefully. So it's very important because what we have are retroviruses. But the point that she's making is psychotronics, okay? Psychotronics means you need to get rid of your Bluetooth devices. You need to get rid of your hair dryer.
5G.
That's a smart hair dryer. You need to get rid of your smart meter. You need to get rid of all your appliances that have that energy symbol that communicate with each other. That lets them. Why do they have to know that I'm taking a shower and using my hair dryer? Why do I have to have all these appliances that I have communicating with each other? And while I'm in the middle of it, getting zapped because I'm an electrical body. So I don't care. I don't like to carry around my cell phone. I leave it usually at home, but I have it here to connect. And so we have to get all these electronic devices out of our and then learn to wean ourselves off electricity. And the cell phone, nobody read the cell phone book that came with it. You have to keep it away from you, like a foot. So how are you going to keep the phone away from you? Well, I have smart friends, my smart, intelligent friends that are very aware and intelligent and smart, because they're all different things. They carry their phone with a selfie stick away from them. How genius is that? Excellent point, Misha.
So I'd just like to bring one very positive point, and it is from the extraterrestrials, that they have been sitting with me for the last 10 minutes to say something. So that you may not understand it, but your heart may understand it. And a message from you. We honor the people that are here. This is love. We are asking you to bring love into your planet. Your planet is lacking love. The matrix that you live in teaches fear. It teaches anger. We ask you to bring in love to us. We love you. We ask you to bring in your heart, every one of you, to love your family, to love your children, to be part of the secret. Yes, be part of the secret that we are bringing together with the people who are awake. The secret is we do have the answer. We do have the answer. We can, through love, through protection, we can stop psychotronic warfare. Do not doubt the people who have it. It is happening. It started in your Gulf War with your Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein, his soldiers, they heard it. It started there. It's continuing. It's through your children. It is through your tiny ones. You must listen. We love you and we honor you.
Beautiful. We got a message from above, you know, and the important message is that we are divine beings of light, and only the small, weak-minded can be controlled by this electronic stuff. When you vibrate a finer frequency, you transmute it. You vibrate the shit out of it, okay? So you hold this higher vibration of love, and it can't touch you, okay? Because you're vibrating. You're, you know, just like the dolphins. You know, they're like blasting it away. So excellent again. Thank you, Misha. Sarah, thank you, Sarah. What do you have to wrap up our panel with?
There is a lot of chaos on this planet this instant, and there's a lot of pressure on humanity. But even in the end, humanity needs that pressure. They need their corrupt political leaders because they would not look further. They would not delve into their spirits and into themselves if they did not have those corrupt leaders. So even they're a blessing. So let us know that all is our teacher. And yes, we are not alone. There are the hosts of the heavens and the angels. There are the leprechauns and the fairies. There are so many realms. There are ETs beyond the races that people in this room even know about. And they're all here. And they're all here. And they're willing to help us. So if we want to clear our planets and we want help, clear our planet and we want help, we can ask them and they'll help us. But they also want us to rise into our divine creator selves and channel our powers to heal our planet and to heal ourselves and to heal each other.
Yes, exactly. And we have to do it ourselves. See, because it's easy for them to come in and just clean everything up, you know. But if we don't clean ourselves up, we degenerate back into the junk that we got into, you know. And one of the things I like is how can you solve your problems with the same kind of thinking that got you into these problems, okay? So you have to think out of the box and realize that it will be cleaned up, but we have to do it. We have to take responsibility for our own awareness and do that, because we ask for help. They can do it. They're going to be able to clean up all this radiation from Fukushima and everything that we've been doing, trying. So thank you very much, Sarah. And Doctor, yes.
Okay. I'm first of all not promoting it, but I have to mention my last book, The Light Side of the Oneness.
The light side of the oneness.
The light side of the oneness, and even I learned while I was channeling it, and I want you to understand that when you think about the galactic consciousness, you are thinking about the universal consciousness of the divine essence that is in all things created, God, as we call it. In the divine essence of unity of all fragments, we are one being. No matter whether we're Arcturian, Syrian, Piscean, or whatever you are in astrology today, you are a part of it. And so I'd like you to take a blessing from the universal sense of all that is. I am that I am, and all that I am is oneness. And therefore you are whole, perfect, for where you're at this time. And in the book you'll read how this earth is the foundation where we learn, no matter what species we've come from, wherever it is in the universe of the cosmos, this is the place we test ourselves.
I like that.
We are in the fourth plane of evolution here.
I heard the same, that what happens here affects the rest of the universe. And it's the same way with America. what happens here in America is going to affect the rest of the world too. So I have a good feeling about what we're about to see. So thank you so much. Can I get a great hand for our panel? I don't know what's up next. I think it's the dinner for people. Do we have some questions? Do we have time for questions? Did you want to have any questions? You had one. I know you had one. Here, hold on.
It's not really a question about the Germans. Now, there's a story about Maria Orsic had visits from extraterrestrials from Aldebaran, and supposedly they gave her these scripts. One was in a German Templar script, the other one was in Anak, which is like a Sumerian language. And there was also technology of extraterrestrial ships, and supposedly the Nazis used the technology or took it from her. I don't know how much historical thing there is about this. There's debates, and there was supposedly a reverse technology, like where in the spaceships, one thing would go one way and one thing would go the other way. It's like
3 Mercury discs.
Yeah.
The middle one went the opposite direction.
Yeah. Now I don't know if these technologies came from ETs or from the Germans. I think they came from the ETs. And that's why, but this Maria Orsic got messages from there, but she was from Austria, but she wasn't, it's kind of a mystery. But then,
they translated it in a bunch of numbers, and
oh, okay.
to build the ship.
Yes, that's correct. We talked about this earlier in James and I's speech, where essentially Maria Orsic and the Vril had channeled boxes and crates full of papers. And when they brought this into their group, they realized that a lot of this was written in a very specific dialect of Babylonian, which came from the city of Ur. And the city of Ur, as I mentioned earlier, was the resting place, the starting place of Abraham, the Muslim, Christian, and Judaic faith. And more importantly, when they took these translations, one of the men in there took that translation and looked at it and said, well, this is a whole bunch of point-by-point diagrams. And when one of the engineers looked at it, he's like, well, this is actually a blueprint. And they started translating all of these documents as blueprints, which is where the reverse engineering started, where they actually started creating the Hanabu 1 craft, right? The engines, the body, the guidance systems, the atmospheric systems, all that stuff was done that way. And more importantly, those individuals that were the Vril did not stay on this planet. In 1939, they actually left and went to Aldebaran and never came back. They went there with an ambassador and another group of Germans and stayed there with them. So, does that answer your question?
Just like there's some different information online about this.
Yeah.
Information I've heard.
We can talk more about it later. Usually the best conferences are afterwards too.
Sure.
That we say what we can't say. But thank you. Thank you. Anybody have anything to say? You ready to go? I think we're ready to eat and be done.
Ready to eat.
Yes, food. Great. I hope everybody had their questions answered. And the greatest part about these conferences is Slide and I try to do this the way we want it to, where you're getting up close and personal with the speakers and you can ask whatever you want. So thank you for letting us share, information with you. And I hope you enjoyed, try to make the best we can. Thank you.
We can do it.
Can you do like this? This? No, the camera.
I'm just wondering what's going on after dinner. Are we letting Johan be left off?
That's all I do. You want to join?
Oh, I don't know if it actually took.
Yeah, you can take.